If you're looking to move to Oregon wine country and you're looking for that next up and coming community, that premier neighborhood, this is it right here. I am here in Collina at Springbrook, and today we're gonna take a look at this community here. Let's go check it out. Before we get too far, I'm Ben Nelson. I'm an agent here in the Portland Metro and Oregon wine country. And on this channel, we explore communities, talk about the market, and explore some of the fun, really cool lifestyle aspects of living here in the Portland Metro. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the upcoming content as you learn more about the area. So today I'm here at Collina at Springbrook, and this community is a brand new community on the north part of Newberg, on the northern edge. And this is a pretty new community, so there is not a ton to look at here. Right now, there are a few homes in here. There's, I think, about 40 homes or so far that are built. Don't quote me on that. It's somewhere in there, give or take a little bit. But one of the great things about this community is the location. And so as I turn around here, hopefully you can see behind me here, you are right at the foot of the Chehalem Mountains. So you've got this gorgeous view with some vineyards and the trees and the mountains right at the edge of the community here. So just a perfect location for this community. Northern edge of town, great side of town. Like, well, all of Newberg's great, but north part of town's amazing. And again, right at the foot of Chehalem Mountains here, and really easy, access to amenities to get to the grocery stores and some of the other parks, which we'll get to some park stuff here later as we talk more about the community here. But yeah, you can see a lot of the new development happening here. These are all empty lots that they're going to be building eventually. They do have kind of a pick your lot, pick your plan model as part of what you can do here if you have a specific home and a specific lot. Now there's a little bit of restriction on that, just depending on what plan you want, and some of the lots are just different sizes and stuff, which we'll talk about more in a second here. Some of the variety here, which is a great thing about this community. Actually, let's talk about that right now. So one of the things that drives me kind of crazy, and I think a lot of people, is you walk into a lot of these new developments and you got that cookie cutter thing going on. You got cookie cutter homes, you got the same floor plan. You look down the street and you can kind of pick, hey, there's that floor plan, and look, there's another one of that floor plan. On the other side, there's the flip version of that, and then you walk a street over and it's like, oh, there's that plan again, right? So that's just a lot of production builder. That's just what they do, right? They get 4 or 5 plans, they flip them, they just build them out on every street, and that's what you get. Now, do you have the same floor plan in here more than once? Of course you do, right? This is a large community. This is 400 plus homes with another 60 to 70 cottage homes. We'll talk about those more here in a little bit. So yeah, there's a lot of homes here. So of course you're gonna have some repetition, but you also have a lot of variety. So what I love, actually, let's head over here. It's not just variety in floor plan, it's variety in housing style, and it's variety in housing type, and it's variety in size and price point, which is great because you can get in here from kind of an entry-level price point, mid 400s, all the way up to like mid 700s. So you can certainly get into this community with all these amenities at a fairly reasonable entry-level price point. Now, right over here, we're kind of getting to a street that has, behind me, you can see a lot of you've got some single family home, standard construction back there. I'm gonna walk over onto the street here. You got, right here's a good example, right? So you got your single family homes. You got some variety just in the style of the homes themselves. So you've kind of got the more, classic craftsman look, and then you've got the modern roofline options too. And then you have, they're not right here, and I don't see any right in this particular spot, but they also have some single stories, which they basically stopped building single stories for, since the 70s. You see a few here and there. And so they have mixed some of those in here, which is fantastic because it's definitely needed in this market. Depending on what market you're in, it may not be a big deal. Maybe that's all they build, but around here, finding that single level home is a big deal. There's a lot of people that are aging out of those stairs. They don't want my knees even, my knees, I'm, early to mid 40s and my knees are already, feeling it. So, that single story lifestyle, that single story living we need more of it. And so they are mixing that in here. Great floor plans, lots of space, very well laid out. And then, so you've got those typical single family home, on its lot, got a garage in the front, yard in the back. Then you've got kind of these alley load homes right here. So you got a garage in the back, not a ton of yard on these, right? But you've got the alley load, 2-car garage in the back, and then, you know, facing the street here. So, and actually I've been in some of these and they're pretty spacious. They're, you know, they look a little smaller on the front, I think, but they feel real big on the inside. There's a lot of space. And so this is a good option. You know, you got your little bit of front yard, you've got your garage in the back. So you don't have a backyard on these, but they kind of get you in to a little bit kind of that mid-level price point versus the, you know, more expensive 2-story, you know, larger project that's going to be in that, you know, mid 700s range. Now, the other thing that they have, that this is kind of a newer, you know, just newer development concept in this area. They started to do a little bit more of this. It's this cottage cluster design concept. So you see it in a lot of different ways. They did a pretty good job of this. Again, some variety in the, you know, style itself too. You know, a little bit of modern right here, a little bit more, you know, craftsman style there. And you have a shared driveway. They all have, you know, their own garage. We got 4 of them here on these little lots. And this helps bring some much needed, a little bit of density. You know, you have low maintenance, and you can get in for that entry level price point, kind of that mid to upper 400s range. They do get a little bit more than that into the, you know, I think low, maybe even mid 5s on, you know, the more square footage ones, the higher square footage ones, but a great stepping stone to get not only into homeownership, but into this particular community, to be able to enjoy all the amenities and all of those things that are right here in this community, which we'll get to hear right now. Okay, we were actually in this spot earlier, but this was a great spot. Well, you know, again, there's not a lot built out here, so there's not a ton of spots with houses. But anyway, this is a good spot to see kind of that variety that they are building here, and that it's so connected. So again, we talked about the alley load. You got your alley load product right here. And then right across the street, you have, actually, sorry, that's more alley load on the other side that they're gonna do over there. But then right out down the street this way, you have your traditional single family. Right here is the sales center. That is also your traditional single family garage in the front. Again, here's your cottage product. I really love this product. I think that this is gonna sell pretty quick because, again, the price point and that first rung on the ladder, we need more opportunities like that, and this certainly gives that to you, and in a premier community right here in Newberg. So, you know, it looks great. You know, well designed. You got 2 on this side, you got 2 on this side, variation of, you know, facades and styles, and variation of, you know, size and square footage and, you know, layouts. So definitely not all the same. And, you know, you've got a garage, you've got a little bit of space, a little patio, and this shared driveway. So really a pretty good setup, I think. I like it a lot. Okay, I'm walking up to where the community clubhouse and workout room and pool and all that's gonna be. Look at these lovely renderings, right? So it's all fenced off, obviously. They're working on this right now. Just broke ground on the pool a couple weeks ago. And, you know, it's not gonna be open this year. Bummer, right? But it should be open next year. You can see some of this starting to take shape here. You got some paths, you got some forms down there as they're, you know, working on the pool. So this is gonna be the hangout space for the community. Again, right on the edge. Just past this, you have that natural area. So kind of have this community space, this green space over here, the clubhouse, the pool, all that stuff. And then that natural area. So you've got that buffer of the community area, and then the natural area right on the edge of the community here. Really well thought out, really well designed, really well laid out. And then again, that variety of homes, really well done how they, you know, have sprinkled it out throughout the community and just really varied it. I showed you earlier, you know, those alley load and the cottages and, you know, some of the traditional single family homes. I think in a lot of communities, you have them like pocketed, right? You have, you know, this section is the single family homes, and then the cottages are like way back in this one corner. And then you have the alley load, you know, off to this other area. And these are, I mean, they're definitely like organized, right? In certain areas, but all of that is in one area. There's like a street and then another, there's the alley load, a street, and then another street. I mean, and you've got all of that variety within just, you know, 1 or 2 streets of each other instead of like spread out or like completely segregated throughout the community, which I think adds interest and it adds variety and it makes it just more interesting driving through and living in the community, having all of that variety right there in one spot. Personally, I love it. Okay, so I'm over on the edge of the community here. And again, this is all still in the works. This is very early in the development, but you can start to see some of this common space that's coming together here. You have this green space over here. I believe they're gonna be putting in a playground. They are working on the pool down here. They just broke ground on that a couple weeks ago, I think. And they're gonna be doing, you know, kind of like a clubhouse area. So you're gonna have a workout room. Can't forget about the workout room, the gym. So then you have these walking paths here. And I'm gonna touch more on that in a second, but this is where you're getting those amenities right here in your community, right down the street from where we're at with those homes. So again, variety of price point. You can, you know, move up into this community if you are selling a home and, you know, looking for something a little bit bigger, but you can certainly start here as well or downsize, right? And you have access to all these amenities. There's just that option here. Some of those communities, you know, maybe golf course community or, you know, just some of the newer developments with the amenities, they don't really have that option. You are paying that high price point just to get into the community. You don't have those entry level options. And so this gives you that, where you have the ability to get into here with a lower price point and, you know, start off, right? With you know, if you're a young couple, small family, or just, you know, you just don't have that higher price point budget, you can still get into this community and enjoy a really well-designed community with just a great neighborhood. Again, right at the foot of the Chehalem Mountains and, you know, with all these amenities here, walking paths, clubhouse, pool, park, all of those things that you want in a community. Now, another thing that's really neat here is right here, this natural area, kind of ravine here, this is, I believe it's official. They're working on turning this section here into a private wildlife or natural reserve. And there's gonna be walking paths down there. And it's, again, these walking paths that I'm on right here in the community, you're gonna be able to go right from here down into that natural area and have, you know, space there to get into the woods. Nature's gonna be right here, accessible, right at your fingertips, right? And to me, not only does this make this really special anyway, no matter where you are, but here in Newberg, I think this is just a huge deal because, you know, this is not a shot at Newberg or anything. It's just, you know, there's a couple other communities around. You've probably seen some of my other videos on them that, you know, they just have really, really nice natural areas, really, really nice parks. And, you know, Newberg is just, we got some parks and things like that. And it's not that they're not there, but they're just not quite to that level. And I think this right here definitely steps it up, having this right here available to the community, not just available to those that live in this community. It's going to be available, I believe, to everybody, but it is right here if you live here. To be able to have probably one of the better, you know, natural areas in Newberg, if not the best, you know, right at your, you know, right out your back door, that's fantastic. Okay, I wanted to walk down here to the edge of the development. I'm approaching that natural area that I was talking about, and this is the long-term vision. Now, this is a part of what was done over 20 years ago, the Springbrook master plan, where they had this entire conceptualized master plan for this whole area. Now, this is about 70 acres. I believe I can't remember how big the natural area is. It's between 50 and 70 also. And then you have the other side of the bridge here, which is part of that master plan, and it's actually bigger than that. But the goal here is for this developer over here, this builder, Polish Homes, they are hoping to someday, you know, connect the communities. And this will be the center point. This is gonna be, you know, Collina West over here. This is gonna be Collina East on the other side of the bridge. Now that's a long time in the making, okay? We're talking, you know, probably 7, 8, maybe more years down the road, because you have, you know, 480 homes essentially, right? 400 plus single family, plus the cottages to build over here, and they're about 40 to 50 in, right? So they've got a ways to go for that. But then eventually, I think that's the goal, is that they finish this and then branch out into this other side. You have Collina West, Collina East, and you have them connected with this beautiful walking bridge and this amazing and natural area right in between them. I'm assuming, I don't know this for sure, but just like the green space on this part of Collina, this phase of Collina is up against the natural area, I can only assume that that would be the plan over here to kind of mirror that and put a natural area, barrier on, this side, and then houses. Now, again, I don't know that, that's way in the future, but that's my assumption. So this is gonna be a fantastic community. It already is. The homes here are great. I've got some clients buying one of the single level homes in here, closing in a few weeks. I know they're super excited, and I would be too. This is a great community here in Newberg. This is going to be the go-to community here in Newberg for years and years to come that people are wanting to get into. So if you're looking to get into a new home here in the area, get in now, because there's going to be a lot of people wanting this. This is going to be high demand. It's a quality neighborhood with lots of amenities, lots of variety, good price points, and that's what most people are looking for, right? Thanks so much for tagging along with me as we took a quick look at Collina at Springbrook. I'm gonna be here quite a bit. I'm gonna be popping in and out. We'll do some more videos here as this, continues to get built out, because it's gonna change a lot. Right now you've got a couple streets of new homes and a bunch of empty lots, but that's gonna change pretty quick. They're gonna get that pool done, or start building that clubhouse, keep working on those walking paths. They're gonna get that natural area behind me done. They're gonna continue to build out those homes, and they're gonna keep getting sold, and it's gonna become this vibrant, high demand community right here in Newberg. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss future content. And of course, if you are looking to move to the area, I would love to connect with you. Make sure you fill out the form below, and I'll reach out as soon as I can, or you can just give me a call, shoot me an email. We'd love to connect and find out a little bit more about what you're looking to do and help you get from where you are to where you're trying to go. Thanks so much for watching. We'll catch you next time.